Okay, let's continue. I will remove this render guy. So make it here closer. So with the detonator fire, what we have here? I guess I will remove all this thing because definitely should have a different. Okay, so I copied this. I cut those nodes and paste it here. You remember what is here is our particles. And when I'm not using the cache file, which I'm using here from the old simulation, I don't want to use the time shift basically, and I will remove most of those particles. So basically, when I create those particles in the beginning, we won't spend too many time forgetting those. And let me just see what is going on here, why we still have this thing here. Let me just add a new scene. Yeah, I don't know why we have this strange box over there. Let's just hide as an object. Yeah, this would be more appreciated. So our particles created pretty fast. So even in this situation. So this are our particles for the vortex, I guess. I don't know why it doesn't move up. Let me just, oh no, this is not them. Or not. Let me just see. No, it's something else. I think we don't have a curve. And go to this. Now we have a curve. So I didn't get it. And go and reset sim. And I guess I know why it's happening. Is our curve, as you remember, we set it target name to N. So now we don't have the up force. We don't have an up force. So switch it to N, which is normals. And then we should have the proper movement. All right, so we had it. We have it. And what I want to do, I want to use the time blend for make this simulation a little bit slower. So go to by speed 0.5, and I don't need to change my velocity. So velocity should be the same. I would have a huge velocities, but the particle movement I want to make a little bit slower. Then I want to create a fuel based on those particles. So go to pyro source, create fuel. So they will create a fire for us. Okay. And what else I want to do? I want to remove particles which will go up too far away from the origin. I mean, I will remove them by age. So if the age of my particles will be bigger than, let's say, 0.2, I'm talking about particles, we will remove them. So our particles will die on some height when they're gonna leave like 2 frames, and that's it. Sorry, 0.2 seconds, and that's it. All right. So that's my fire, and that's great. That's going to be my fuel. All right, the fuel is 1 by 1, all by default. And then let's set the attribute noise. Come on, attribute noise, volume rasterize attributes. I will rasterize the fuel. Normalize, density, remove particles. And with the voxel size, I can add like 0.1, oh, just 0.15, maybe a little bit bigger. What about the attribute? noise. I definitely should add a little bit bigger particle scale, like 3, to have more like volumes inside of it. And with attribute noise, I want to make this fuel a little bit more noisy with the additive, using the remap, animated, Perlin, and with a minimum maybe 0.5, 0.05. So go to fuel. So yes, I'm changing, but definitely should increase the element size and increase the post duration too. So 6 here, and again maybe 0.7 set for the element scale. Choose minimum, yeah, something like that. Now let's go and set the null object for the fuel out. Fuel out. Let's make it black. And what I want to else do, I want to make this thing a little bit bigger, wider. If you compare our tornado fire and our fire bottom, I want to make it like 2 times bigger. So let's go, and before I go to the volume rasterize, I will add a transform for those points. And let's transform elements in horizontal way. So I will scale up 2 and 2 by X and Z, but I'm not create scale for Y-axis. And that's what we should have for our fuel. But now, what about velocities? We definitely have some velocities here. So after the time blend, we have velocities from our point, and they still big. So I'm not using the scale velocities. So I'm not recalculate our velocity amount. So even after the blast, or you know what, for the velocities, I think I will create a little bit bigger field. So I'm copy this blast, but I will set not 0.2 but 2 seconds. And now my particle will exist a much longer period of time. Now they will rise up and will be removed somewhere over here on frame 48 because of the 24 frames per second. So they will live much longer. I'm gonna do the same transformation, I guess, to this particles because I want to match the velocity field and the fuel field. And let's set the attribute transfer. And for those particles, because the thing I did with the volume velocities with my white vortex, so I create a bound, take my particles, and create a bigger padding. So for my X and Z bottom, I make a 4, I mean a lower padding, 4 in upper padding, so it will be bigger. And I definitely want to increase the upper padding to like 10 because my flames will rise up and they should be covered with velocities in upper area, because without this thing they will go outside of the velocity field and we will see this. Sometimes it can be even visually, we can see it in the render when the flame is going, then just pick and going up without any kind of turbulence or velocity, since it's like a line which is slice our fire. So I increase a bigger gap between our particles, and just on the fast frame, you need to understand that now when we have our particles here, our bounding box will rise up faster in y-axis. And now I can fill it with some VDB from polygons plus scatter, or we can use the point volumes. So point from volume, remove point separation, I guess. I press escape because it's gonna take some time for getting such a big amount of particles, because default 0.1 is pretty small for us. In our case, we have 187,000 points. That should be enough, I guess. And now I go to attribute transfer as we did for the white vertex, I transfer my velocity from those points to those points. So if you enable velocities, you can see that is the transfer. Another thing I want to change here is I change the distance threshold to 5 and increase the blend width to 2 meters. It means that it's now blending our velocity is much smoother. Okay, so we have some blend mount allow us to decrease the velocity scale the bigger distance from the original points. Okay, so now we have it. And again, we can use the attribute wrangle to remove points which doesn't have velocities. So if our length from velocity will be bigger or equal to 0, then we're going to remove point from the first input by point number. So again, even if we won't do this, our volume rasterize field will change the volume, because if there is no velocity, it won't create the field over there. So where you are? Yeah, here we go. Yes, let's go to frame like 9 to see this field. Come on, no, here you go. Cool, and let me reduce the particle scale to 1. And what I want to do, I want to volume rasterize here, enable velocity blur, so it will be a little bit more interesting because it have huge velocities. I will like create the blur for our moving spheres. So now it's just a sphere, and now we create like a motion blur for them. And that's going to be my velocity out. So now we have two different fields, fuel out and val out. So we're going to merge them. Together to create one source. So that should be my source. You may ask why I create such many different null objects. So 1, 2, 3, and the thing is sometimes I create a dot network here on object level, sorry, and so it's much easier to have a connection to those null objects except to just finding the merge node or something like that. In this case, you'll use the dot network right here, so we can even connect them to use just the first input. And let's call this fire bottom sim. And I'm gonna use the new sparse mode. So I will add the pyrosolar sparse. And the smoke sparse. Volume source. Guess I need ground object and merge. Connect those guys. And now you. So the first context geometry, we keep, basically we keep the source fuel. And here in this source, I gonna say that, okay, now I want to choose the fuel as the source volume for the flame field, and the same fuel to fuel for the temperature field. I'm gonna leave by one scale here, and V to velocity. So make a copy to velocity field. For the smoke sparse solar, let's choose the size of this voxel is 0.2, because just for the test will be enough or not. And again, I want to use the closest below -0.2. All right, volume source, I guess all these things. So now with the pyrosolar sparse, what I can change here. So with advanced mode, we can definitely set a little bit more sub-steps just for test. I think 2 will be enough. And for the same, again, time scale a little bit bigger, not 10, but 0.5. And the bigger reference temperature. Flame 2. Let's make a simulation, and I'll find out what settings I want to see here. So let's maybe go to camera 1 and set a flipbook. I just want to see the main dynamic, how big my flames will be. Should I remove some? And where is it? Because with smoke sparse I just visualize the density, but I don't have a density because I'm not producing the smoke. So go to multi-field, and the density you can apply here like temperature. And with an emission, which is 1, it flame and temperature. And now it's working. Cool. Let me just set a simple ramp because I don't like to use the temperature, or just decrease the temperature like 0.3. So yeah, it's looking good. Density scale 0. And let's see what we have on our playblast, our flipbook. And we definitely should reduce some flame height, because it doesn't look like that what we need. So let's back to the beginning, and let's play with Pyro Solver. So with the flame lifespan, I make just 0.5. I want to create just a bottom area where the fire is going inside of this flame vortex we already did. So an extra thing I want to apply here is, don't need dissipation, is adding a shredding with a much bigger value, like a 5. To broke this fire more. So let's say 0.15, and I will save this cache for visualization. Again, fuel temperature 111. So we can can set our velocity a little bit smaller to 0.5, because I think that it's very, 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 big amount of velocity we had. Now let's dope input fields. Let's add this guy. So the fire, the smoke, and choose the pyro. So I don't need density, but we can choose how many fields we want to keep here. And sometimes, well, we can remove density. In fact, sometimes we can, I remove velocity, right? So add again pyro. So density, let's save, rest, temperature, flame, fuel, city. So you definitely need to watch carefully which fields you want to save, because if you spend a lot of time for simulation, then say, okay, I don't have a field which I need for rendering, it will be not very good. So go to file cache, and let's name it vortex fire bottom, something like that. So I guess I don't need 150 frames, so well, let's leave 150, let it be. Select from disk, and now geometry, and let's render the thing. And now we see what is going on here. It's not very interesting in our visualizations. So let's set up the pyro post process. Okay, here's our fire. Now choose ramp. I don't need the density. Intensity scale, I don't know, let's play ramp with ramp first. So let's choose some color. And let's close this to add just a quicker settings, because I don't want to spend a lot of time for updating each time when I change some parameter. So go to 7.7 and drag this guy up here. Something like this. So to scene view. Let's increase the temperature range. And let's play with the flame range. Maybe remove all what is under the 0.1 and maybe decrease intensity to 0.5. Yeah, something like this. Okay, so now go to render. Go to render. And say out. So tornado bottom. Remove this guy, select the bottom, fire bottom. And I definitely should use tornado fire as an first mate. Okay, don't need motion blur for now. Let's play with the default pixel sampling, 0.5. And this is just a flame, so I don't need any render elements. Okay, camera 1, tornado bottom. Let's make test render. We even can remove our first mate tornado fire if you want to increase the render speed. I don't want to see how it's looked with this. Here's my fire, but I guess I should add a motion blur because it's with such a big motion, it will add a better render. I guess yes. Just look on the motion blur here, velocity blur. And that's correct. Now it has a motion blur. Cool. That's exactly what I want to have. Let's disable the preview mode because I want to see amount of noise here. You can see that renders pretty fast. And another thing I want to check is if I remove the forces made. I just don't want to see this thing. Yeah, I guess I will remove this. Let's feel this thing, this area a little bit better. Cool, yeah. Okay, so now render this out and let's close this and close this. Before we go into compositing, the last one thing I want to change here or add here is some sparks, because if we have a lot of fire, let's add some sparks. We have some objects which will burn out here, and the part of those objects, like a spark, they should fly away with the fire with the same forces. So let's see how we can do this.